Hey everyone, welcome to Spit Talking with Thalia. And today we're going to talk about Sean, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, Love, I don't know what else, Combs versus Cassie Ventura. And yeah, I have my thoughts and opinions. I also have the 35-page court document in front of me. We're going to skim through it because initially I wanted to read it all. But as I was going through it, I was like, yeah, it's not because it would bore you to death, because there's a lot of information that's in it. It is just a whole lot. And when a court document has, a trigger warning on it, I'm not trying to trigger anybody who has experienced any form of abuse in their life. But the main objective today is to expose the foolery for those who haven't read it. So yeah, if you want to talk about it with me, by all means, stay tuned. Before you get all cozy, what I would like for you to do is um, click that subscribe button. Alongside of it is a notification bell. Also, check me out on your podcast platforms and check me out there as well. That's on Apple and on Spotify. But yes, if you are strictly here for the YouTube, go ahead and click subscribe and click the notification bell. We are posting every Thursday, whether it's edited or unedited, you're going to get a video every Thursday. Look at God. So I don't even know where to begin because my thoughts and opinions are all over the place when it comes down to this situation because I grew up in the era where bad boy entertainment was a staple in the hip hop community. Bad Boy Entertainment it is the record label that brought us Biggie, Forever Cherished. I don't know what's going on with your boy Sean Combs, but he clearly has done the most. And it's like, how did we oversee some of it? I think a lot of stuff was in our face because I saw what's the name? An interview that he had did. I want to say it was Drink Champs. It was him, Jadakiss, Fabulous, and somebody else. And he was just being weird. Like I knew that he wasn't sober. I mean, it's Drink Champs, right? But he was just being weird and he was giving a whole nother vibe. So it was like, okay, that threw a red flag. I never really liked Puffy, like the artist, you know what I mean? I felt like he had produced great artists. We got to thank him for Faith, Total, and for those who grew up in the 90s, for 112, Mace. Um, Day 26 was like a little past my time frame. Like I was really over, Bad Boy, but he has produced some great music and dude's a weirdo. So anyway, so let's get into this document. So again, for those who don't know who Sean Combs is, this is my version, my explanation without Google or whatever, because I grew up listening to this dude. He is a hip hop mogul. Like he brought us good music, right? I can't, he also brought the clothing line. What's the name? Sean John. Sean John. And I will say back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like Sean John was it for the men. And I don't know, I can't remember if he did anything for females, but for sure the men were killing it. Clothes were dope. Can't take that away from him. And also, he is the founder of Ciroc. I am not a drinker. Have I had Ciroc before? Like, sure, but I'm not a vodka person. Like, I don't like vodka. I like tequila. And I don't know whether or not he does tequila. Don't care. But I know that Ciroc is his thing and that I believe that is his current moneymaker because I don't recall him promoting anybody. I think I seen his son that looks just like him. I don't know whether or not he's doing music, but nonetheless, that's who he is. If you question if you question what I said about him, by all means, Google is free. And Cassie Ventura, she was actually one of his artists on the Bad Boy label. And I think she came out 2006, 2007, roughly around that time. It's also listed in the court document. And she literally came out with one song that I can recall, and that's You and Me. I think it had made the Billboard 200 or whatever have you, but I don't recall her getting awarded for anything. The song was cool. She kind of gives you those Sierra vibes. Sierra vibes as like not a singer. Sierra's a performer. I can't even say that Cassie's a performer. That kind of like autotune is doing the work for her. You know what I mean? Like she's not a singer. She's very pretty. You know what I mean? Modeling should have been more her lane than singing. But nonetheless, like I don't have her on any of my playlists, no diss to her, but she just wasn't a person that I would gravitate towards back in the day or even now. So at this point in time, we know that she filed. She filed on the 16th, and literally on the 17th, he settled, right? He settled out of this whole situation. So my issue right now is for all that is said in this document, because I would like to say either I heard it or I read it somewhere. I want to say that I heard it that he was stating that, oh, uh she was trying to blackmail him, extort him, or whatever the case is. If that is true, right? I believe those are crimes, correct? Leave that in the comment section if those are not crimes or where there are crimes. But I thought that extortion and blackmail was a thing that was frowned upon. So if that was the case, why would you pay that out? Is my question, right? You know, when you settle, I feel like that's more so of admitting to guilt. So we're going to get into it because I want to read some of the things. It's again, I'm not reading things verbatim, like I'm going through pages, yes, but I am not going to read word for word out of this whole 35-page document. What I will do, I will be reading what I want you to hear word for word. Okay, if that makes sense. So this is on page 2. So if you decide to look it up, I will also leave the link of where I found this in the description box. And by all means, you can read it along with me or read it at your own time or whatever. So this is under the preliminary statement. This is number 3. So it says among other violent and unlawful acts, Mr. Combs, he has raped Miss Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Miss Ventura, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Miss Ventura. That that part right there, not that the other stuff wasn't like shocking. The fact that he blew up someone's car, it is stated later down in the document, so we'll get into it. Forced Miss Ventura to engage in sex acts with male sex workers while masturbating and filming the encounters. Ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he whom he learned was nearby. That was Suge Knight, right? It's in the court document also. I just don't want to go into too much detail about that. For those who don't know, newer generation may have not known of the West and East Coast beef. That's what ultimately took out Biggie Smalls and Tupac. Whole another situation. If you want, also in the comment section, if you want me to cover the case of Tupac and the recent findings and the person who took his life. If you want me to go over that case, please let me know in the comment section. I was interested, I mean, side note, I was interested in talking about that, but I don't know if you would have wanted to talk about it. So let me know. I might go over it anyway because it's been a long time coming. But anywho, back to this foolery. Demanded Miss Ventura to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Miss Ventura to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse, and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addiction. what baffles me about stuff like this is that when someone is mentally ill, right? Because and I'm a detox nurse, right? That's my full-time job. That's what I do. Um, it's one of those diseases that's very selfish. Um, Definitely they don't care about no one else but to feed their addiction. And he took, I can't even say allegedly, but for, my safety, let me go say allegedly. He allegedly did this to her to feed his own addiction from everything, drugs, clearly sex. And when we get into that part, it was like, dude, you need nothing but the dear Lord, some anointed oil. Just take him to was it Jordan River and dip him because this dude is freaking demonic based on this court document, truly. And what's gonna kill me is that who's gonna still work with this dude? How do you comfortably still work with this dude? Like, I mean, it's a good documentary, again, side note, but this is a podcast, so we're just gonna talk freely. If it throws you off that I change subjects here and there, please forgive me. But yeah, let's talk. But anyway, so there is a new Tyler Perry documentary on Amazon Prime, and it's very good. It's called Maxine's Baby. So it's just basically about, how he got to this point, what he had to do, in his relationship with his mother and his relationship with his father. And Diddy was in that briefly towards the end, but he was there. So it was like you build these relationships with these people. So after this, like I would love to see who's gonna still mess with this dude. I don't know how many people follow him on social media, but I'm curious to know whether or not people stop following him. Um, because like how do you continue to support a person that has these allegations? And it's not because, okay, it's one thing when someone accuses you of doing something, right? It's like, okay, you being accused, you could say, I I did or did not do it. In the event that there is, it's in question, you can take it to court. You were innocent until proven guilty. Even though this was a civil case and money was involved, okay, cool. But if you felt like you were completely innocent, what is there to settle? Oh no, you're taking me to court. We're to we're talking about this out loud. I want things to go on the record. Me saying dot 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 dot. No, I'm not giving up my hard dollar if I didn't do nothing. You see what I'm saying? So I just decided to go over to his Instagram just to see how many followers he had or and kind of peep the comments before I get into the rest of this. And so he currently has 20.4 million followers on Instagram. So I don't know, is Love his new album or is Love his new name? And then also, when you kind of think about it, like there were some identity issues if you continuously had to change your name. Like there was nothing wrong with Sean. In the comments of his last post that was on August the 31st, I take it. Oh no, I guess it's a pin post. Someone had put, it was the first comment that I saw. It said, like this comment if you want Kim Porter's death investigated. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. You went from she's blackmailing you to paying her. She must have had crazy evidence. You see what I'm saying? The people know. The people know. Dude is bugging. So it continues from page 2. It says Miss Ventura met Mr. Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to her label, Bad Boy Records, and within a few years, lured Miss Ventura into an ostentatious, fast paced, drug fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him. Her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. And R. Kelly wasn't the only one. We knew that, right? We know there's plenty. I mean, I guess even Jay Z and Beyonce, there is an age gap there. I think 10 years maybe. But there is we know that men and women do this, right? Where they will date older, date younger, whatever the case is. That as of here lately is something that's also promoted with the whole male red pill foolery that, I'm gonna live my life. And when I decide to settle down or whatever the case is, reproduce or whatever, I'll find me a young one. To the men that believe that and think that that is okay, you don't you don't think it's sick? I mean, just a little bit. It's like when you see a person that young, it's like, or try to date a person that young, you don't ever look at it like, man, especially when you have kids, like that's like dating my kid. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Miss Ventura's personal and professional life, thereby enduring inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but a return demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. You kind of just want to know what the initial conversation was when she decided to sign with Bad Boy. Like, how was that conversation? And you decided to, was it because I just want to pick her brain? I would never accuse a victim of something, right? But I, s- I personally would like to know the thought process to what made it like, how did he market this? And like, how was it appealing for someone to say, you better obey me, right? And your loyalty is just to me. Like, you're limiting the artist. Again, I'm not an artist. I'm just a nurse and a person with a camera. I don't know what that conversation would be like. But if you knew that from that initial conversation that it might be a little issue, like, how did he package this thing for you? That would have been no. They would tell me, which I can understand, like, it's a regular job. You need to follow the rules, whatever the case is, but obey. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner, after which he forced her into her home and raped her, while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Do you see where it becomes like people's behavior becomes questionable? When you felt like you finally got away, he wanted to have dinner. May I ask why you wanted to go? For those who know me in real life, know that I am a very forgiving person. Um, I tolerate quite a bit. Like, I'm not a spark plug until you become super disrespectful to me, right? I'm gonna let you do you. When I'm in an argument, I don't got time to curse you out or whatever. I'd rather use the little bit of intellect that I have and express myself so there's no confusion. In my opinion, when you start cursing and carrying on, things get misconstrued. Sometimes people use curse words just a way to express themselves, or they really want to hurt you. No, I just want you to know how I truly feel. So let me just eliminate certain words out of my vocabulary so I can be clear. But when I say I am done with you, that's exactly what I mean. I'm done. I don't want any parts. This is romantically and in friendship. If you are a negative entity in my life, I have to pull away. I might even tell you that I'm done with you. I just choose not to talk to you. Um, but if I'm trying to escape something, and Lord knock on wood, I never had to run from anything, right? I always kind of see things through. I can't imagine finally being free and then returning to have a conversation for why. Miss Ventura has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assaults and sexual abuse he caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. I'm freaking sure. I'm sorry, she has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. I will say I'm a huge advocate for therapy, and I just hope and I pray that she gets the help that she needs, because God is good. And you should never fear anybody or anything but him. I'm a believer, so if you don't like the God talk, I'm so sorry. You're gonna get it here because I'm always reference him. You will find strength to deal with some things and defend yourself if necessary. Defend yourself if necessary. You know what I mean? But I did therapy and I definitely advocate that. God is almighty and he's great. He also created therapists, so use them. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what she endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful, immensely dangerous. Miss Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her and with threats of violence, excessive use of drugs, physical and psychological abuse, and sexual slavery. That's heavy. It kind of goes back to like R. Kelly because we all know that there was documentaries made about him. Dude went to court. He's currently in jail. Blah 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 blah. Right? I would like to say, based on their funds, any woman would have been more than happy to deal with these folks willingly. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't have to force yourself. You wouldn't have to force yourself on women because there are women out there who would want to be with you. But no, I guess that's a power thing. You know, I'm a rule over you. And the fact that they do it to the young ones. You see, ladies, if I can find a clip of this young woman, I think she has a podcast with somebody, an older dude, and I think he was on Love and Hip Hop or whatever. But I recently saw a clip and she even said it herself, like, yo, I'm not messing with no older dude. Like, what do you want with me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm 44. In the event I ever have to be out in those dating streets, which I don't even think I would ever put myself in a situation if I get a divorce. Okay. No, thank you. I wouldn't date at 44. I'm old, right? So it's not like I can, if I date someone who's 60, it's like, okay, man, you and I are like what and what? Because I can no longer reproduce. So I am no benefit if that's what you want. You go for the young ones because you feel like they're moldable. You feel like you can truly take advantage of that. So I need my young ladies to open up. Like if an older dude approaches you, really question why. Like, what is it that you want with me? And it's not because you may not be brilliant, smart, whatever have you, beautiful, whatever have you, but really question that. Like, okay, out of all the women in the world, you rather date me and there's a 20-year gap, there's a 15-year gap, there's a 10-year. What do you want? So just be careful. So I am going to be reading from page 7, and this is under the factual allegations. I was going to just, I was going to talk about 25 and 26. It had stated at the time, Mrs. Ventura was 19, he was 37, kind of said that at the very beginning, because like the beginning of this document is basically a whole summary of what the whole 35 pages is, and that's why it was like really no need to kind of go over each page because it was a great summary in the beginning. um in 26, it states within months in February of 2006, Miss Ventura signed a 10 album deal with Mr. Combs record label. The girl only got one out. So, all of this, right? And nothing happened. That girl's career went nowhere. So, number 32 states within a year of signing with Bad Boy Records, Mr. Combs became deeply entrenched in Mrs. Ventura's life, almost immediately asserting possession and control over her and inserting himself into all aspects of her career and her personal life. I would have loved to have seen how it was played out. Like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't in my mind, I'm thinking like how abusers might work. Like it's not all initially it's not super aggressive, right? You just seem to be like it seems like, it's all good, or you're the boss that just want to preserve the artist and make sure the artist is doing everything they're supposed to do, blah 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 blah. But was there a red flag along the way to be like, okay, well, this dude is doing way too much, even though I know I'm signed to him, but some of this may be inappropriate. You know what I mean? Miss Ventura's hairstylist and Mr. Combs' makeup artist told Miss Ventura that Mr. Combs was interested and Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura shrugged off the gossip and in fact expressed disgust given the large age gap. Girl, yes. But somehow it was convincing enough to deal with him because we can't not we can't skip over that. I can't be biased too because I mean there's two sides to every story. Now, do I think that Sean Combs is an effed up individual? Yeah, I actually do. Um, do I believe he did any of this? Sure do. I don't recall ever hearing anything about him blowing anything up during that time frame, but I do believe that he is a disgusting human. Yeah, I do. At an after party in a hotel suite following Miss Ventura's 21st birthday, Mr. Combs pulled Miss Ventura into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her. Miss Ventura did not consent to this unwanted contact. She immediately ran out the bathroom in the hotel suite and cried. She told her best friend at the time about what had happened, but was too scared to tell anyone else. Someone blatantly disrespects you, it's like, why are we protecting them? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't we able to speak up and voice what they did that was wrong? If I don't do nothing else, I definitely want to encourage anybody, male, female, non binary, whoever, always speak your mind. If someone is hurting you, there's nowhere where it's written that you need to endure unwanted foolery by people of power. I know that God, I feel like God, and I don't know, I didn't write the Bible or nothing, but I feel like God would give you grace if He knew that you were defending yourself, right? You're not going to viciously hurt somebody, but if someone is hurting you, there should be no hesitation, none whatsoever. Run, do what you have to do. But social media wasn't like a big thing back in the early 2000s either. But the first opportunity I had, this dude's business would have been out there. And I just feel bad for his kids. Like, I wonder what his kids are saying because he's Sean Combs, he's Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever. And then you have your kids who are also in the limelight, and you have daughters, my dude, daughters. So now these kids are gonna have to pay for the sins of the father. That's messed up. So, okay, so under the Mr. Combs lures Miss Ventura into a relationship. So it's like how you force yourself into a relationship with someone and they don't want to deal with you. Like, how are you okay with that? I can't imagine saying, "Hey, you're gonna be my boyfriend, my husband, whatever," and you have no say so in that. Someone's gonna look at you crazy. One particular night, around September 2007, Mr. Combs insisted on taking Miss Ventura out. Miss Ventura, I can't, whatever word that is, fearing that rejecting Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs and his company, Bad Boy Records. But you see what I'm saying? People will look at you sideways anytime you question the victim. But based on that statement, right? It's like your thought process, like what were you thinking? If you felt like the treatment that you were receiving was foul, right? There was nothing great about it. But you were scared that your record deal was jacked up? Yeah, I wouldn't have been a singer. You know what I mean? Like it just wouldn't have happened. Because it's like at what rate are you willing to just like deal with whatever for some fame? Come on, man. I don't know. Number 42. He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Miss Ventura asked what the pill was, Mr. Combs dismissed her and told her she would like it. No. And no. You can't hand me nothing. I can't see what bottle it came out of. If I am not familiar with whatever it is that you're handing me, no. I don't even take open can like nothing. If it's open and you're handing it to me to take it, I won't. No thanks. I don't care who it is. I'm good. No. No, no, never trust anyone like that. Hey, you want to take a pill for what? I don't have a headache. I don't have, acid reflux. Why are you handing me this? No thanks. Now, if you try to shove it down my throat, you could always spit it out. Spit it out. Because I can't say cheek it, you cheek it, it absorbs, right? You'll eventually get a hit of whatever that is. But I'm like, yeah, mm-mm. We're gonna be fighting. We're gonna we're gonna fight. Point blank period. There's no way that I would have made it out this situation alive because me and this dude would have been fighting. And I'm on page 14. Number 66 in January 2009, after Mr. Combs learned that Miss Ventura spoke to another music manager at a party in Los Angeles, he became enraged. She had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career and that Mr. Combs would be happy for her. But instead, he became extremely angry and pulled her out of the club where the party was taking place. Y'all gonna be mad at me because it's like, I'm gonna always say, know who you're dealing with, right? I say this all the time at work because dealing with people who are battling addiction, upon intake, you really don't know what you're dealing with, how they handle their alcohol or whatever drug they're on, right? So some of them can be really happy, and some of them can just be jerks, whatever, because they're high under the influence of something. And you just have to know who you're dealing with. If a person is combative, right? My suggestion is always and forever will be you don't continue to engage. Pick up on someone's mannerisms, right? Know their flow, right? And at this point, you've been with this dude for a while. So you kind of know if he's done something like drank or did drugs, what type of person he is. You know what I mean? So may I ask, why would you talk to a manager behind his back if he's controlling your life and you're aware of this, right? And you haven't left, right? I'm not saying that you have to check in with anybody because it is your life, it was your career, you can do whatever you want. But based on what I'm reading, based on the fact that you stayed longer than necessary for your career, knowing that this dude is abusive on all levels of abuse, what made you think he was going to be happy for you if you talked to someone else about managing you? Just a question. Because the plan is to always make it through alive. Always like don't agitate the abuser as much as possible. If you're staying, don't agitate if you're not going to fight this person back. You know what I mean? So confusion. That's all. People forgive me. I'm not, but I have questions and I'm going to ask them. In the car leaving the club, Mr. Combs beat Miss Ventura, pushing her into the corner of the vehicle and stomping her face. There is a special place in hell for Diddy. So number 5, it's a section. So number 5 is and on page 15. Mr. Combs forces Miss Ventura into sex trafficking. You're supposed to be in a relationship with a dude, and you can't even be safe in his presence. Your guy is supposed to protect you, right? You're supposed to feel safe, protected with your significant other, regardless of how that relationship goes. You you shouldn't have to fear them. But when I read some of this to you, and if you guys still support Diddy, love, whatever, y'all still support him. Oh my God. It's like, how can you? Those who still support him, I'm gonna go through his stuff. I'm gonna go through see who follows him. And if any of my top people, like as far as like hip hop artists, still follow this dude, oh yeah, you definitely get unfollowed. My playlist is gonna look like complete trash. Because how, like, what kind of disgusting human would traffic their significant other? Hmm, nobody but the devil himself. So when I read this is definitely a trigger. warning, if you have been assaulted, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, a lot of the stuff is going to be bleeped out somewhere. I'm gonna have to nip it out. But if you're listening to this on the podcast, on one of the podcast platforms, if you have ever been abused sexually, I'm gonna say right now, just kind of skip a few and then come back, because I think this is where I top it off, where because it's so heavy. If all of this is true, which I'm going to assume that it is because he paid her, um, Sean needs therapy. He needs therapy. He needs to be in jail. Dude is a sicko. So it says within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with 40-year-old Mr. Combs, the 22-year-old Mrs. Ventura felt beholden to his whims and demands. While in New York City, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism. Mr. Combs said that it would turn him on if he saw Miss Ventura with another dick. If you made it this far, right? Please leave down in the comment section. What do you think is wrong with him? Not even yes, something's wrong. But what do you think this dude is covering up? Because why would you want to see her with another man? The first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man into his home in Los Angeles. The man, Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura wore masquerade masks and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform sexual acts with this man while Mr. Combs watched them. He masturbated while he directed Miss Ventura and the man to do specific sexual acts. The entire encounter lasted multiple days. There wouldn't have been no lawsuit with me. I would have gotten, and I'm not a vengeful person, but this here, I would have to ask for forgiveness. Just do what I have to do and then beg the Lord right after, like, please take me back in the pearly gates, because this dude ain't gonna make it alive. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak off, or FO. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Miss Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of the male workers. At certain points during Miss Ventura and Mr. Combs' relationship, he would insist on FO weekly. Mr. Combs would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura that this practice was our thing and our secret. FOs would often take place in hotel suites, include the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental. Okay, just listing the hotels. Okay, fine. On one occasion, around 2013, Mr. Combs had an FO set up at the Intercontinental Hotel in New York City, after which he was charged with tens of thousands of dollars in damages by the hotel. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Tony Fletcher, paid the invoice charged by the hotel. So, dear God, what was it that y'all were doing in there? Miss Ventura was eventually instructed to use websites and escort services to find male sex workers to participate the FOs. Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura to search for the large black penises on the website. Are you going to say it, or am I? Let me tell you something. Be into whatever you're into, right? But stop covering it up and then abusing people in the long run because you haven't addressed your sexual issues. You don't know who you like and who you don't like. And then you decide you want to abuse people because you're confused. You know. I feel for her. Truly, I feel for her. Um, I don't want to, because there's more to that, but it's just it's just too much. It continues to go on with the abuse and beating on her and her running down, you know, and I think in the same hotel, just running and trying to escape, and her going back even after escaping, her going back, and it's like, girl, like, I don't, you were out. Security telling you don't go back there because they saw it on the camera that he was abusing you, and you proceeded to go back. You wanted to apologize for leaving. I don't know. I'm confused. It's heartbreaking that anybody would have to go through this, truly, and the fact that dude is a freaking billionaire. I don't know when he reached the billionaire status, but it's like the same thing like with Bill Cosby, right? I question, and again, y'all can say what you want to say about me when it comes down to this, but I always question, why wait until you see someone become so successful and then you want to start talking? My forever motto would be, I don't want to ever see you succeed. It'd be my sole purpose in life to make sure you lose everything, don't have nothing, living on the street. That's where I would make sure. Now, as a Christian, I don't think that's the way to go, right? Because it's not. You shouldn't have a vengeful spirit. But it's like, if you're causing me all types of harm, I'm not giving you peace. It's sad, but it's true. Like I'm a work in progress. The Lord works on me each and every day, and I strive to be a better person. But the person that I am today, I I couldn't say that I would make things comfortable. There'd be ways I would try to make sure you knew I'm causing you damage. Um, yeah, because this dude has money. And I guess, with doing the silver suit, her pay, I don't know what it is. I keep hearing like $50,000 that was floating around. That's how much she got, or she asked for $30,000 and 50 was what was given. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough. If she settled for that, I'm like, girl, why settle for that? I would have wanted to take it all the way to court. I'm getting you for everything. Everything. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that it was settled, not pretty, like, it's just an assumption, right? That it was settled because this dude can't get all the evidence out there. He doesn't want the story told. But this document is already out there. We're reading it. Sir, we see the deviant that you are. Satan himself talking about love. And how do you hug and kiss on your daughters, your children? Like, how? The first cause of action is sex trafficking under 18. I'm not going to read the whole description underneath it. The second one is violation of the New York Services for Victims of Human Trafficking. Third cause action is a violation of the California Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Fourth is cause of action battery, sexual battery under New York law, and it's against defendant Sean Combs. Okay, because I know that when I had read a little bit ago, or yesterday, I want to say, that it was like bad boy, everybody, whoever who was attached to him, she was coming for him. But that's when like 50 million, that's not enough. Um, Fifth cause of action is sexual assault, pursuit of the California Sexual Abuse and Cover Up Accountability Act. Sixth cause of action, violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Act. Seventh cause of action, sexual harassment, gender discrimination, hostile work environment under New York State human rights law. I don't even know what that means. Plaintiff repeats and realleges each and every allegation in all of the preceding paragraphs as if fully set forth herein. Defendants discriminated against plaintiff on the basis of her gender in violation. How? Okay. Well, I mean, whatever works, girl. Get your money. Eighth cause of action: sexual assault, gender discrimination, and hostile work environment. For a money judgment representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earning, and all other sums of money, together with interest on these amounts according to proof. For a money judgment for mental pain, anguish, and severe emotional distress according to proof. For punitive and exemplary damages according to proof, for attorney fees and costs, for prejudgment and post-judgment interest, and for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. Dated November 16th, 2023. So she definitely had proof. For her to get some loot, she definitely had some proof. And this dude was like, "Yeah, I can't have you show any of this to the public." And yeah, this dude, we can't keep putting money in his pocket. So are you going to still buy Ciroc? Are you going to still follow whatever he's doing? You know what I mean? Like, y'all downloading this album. I don't even know. I don't know what the whole love thing is about. But are you gonna be supportive? Like, he shouldn't have any followers right now. 20 million? Why do you have 20 million folks after this came out on the 16th? I've seen James Charles lose 1 million in a day. Who's gonna still hang with you? Who has called him up to talk to him about this nonsense? I would love to know. This dude, yeah, I feel like more needs to happen to him. Like, you still can't walk around this earth comfortable. Like, you gotta lose something. 50 million isn't enough if that's how much she got. Like, it's not enough. Dude is sick. Yeah, so guys, let me know what you think down in the comment section. How you feel about this whole situation. Um, there definitely isn't a side to choose from for sure. I do believe Cassie and everything. When I question things, I just question it because I just try to understand everybody in the situation. One, I don't reason with crazy, so I can't reason with Diddy ever because he needs help. He needs to be institutionalized. He needs to be put a freaking way. Um, but when it comes down to other people, and in this situation with Cassie, I just want to find the reason. Like, what was your rationale? And it could be a nursing thing. Like, what was your rationale to keep moving forward with an individual after him showing signs? You know what I mean? Like, I can insert myself in this. When it comes down to dealing with people that um have addictions or whatever have you. When I first met my husband, like, dude didn't have a problem. As a matter of fact, he stated to me, "I do not drink because I come from family that drinks. So I stay away from it." Right? Cool. At that time, I actually was a drinker. Not a everyday drinker, but I drank on Fridays. Fridays was my biggest day that I would drink. I would have my 6 shots of tequila and I would go to sleep. It was every weekend. It wasn't like, you know, I did every again, didn't do every night, but I was the drinker. So, not until damn near 10 years later in is when he decided to drink and drink. So you never know how people may turn up. They might be fine or whatever have you and then be a problem. Or people will show you immediately who they are. And then you decide to ignore the signs for whatever reason. So my only question to Cassie is like, you had your blinders on because you wanted money. You wanted to succeed in the music industry and you felt like you had to endure foolery in order to get there. That I feel bad for you. I feel bad that you had to sacrifice yourself to get to some form of success. Well, I just want to say if you ever were to come across this, that I wish you nothing but healing. I don't know the God that you serve, but to definitely heal, pray, go to a therapist. If you have to take meds that would turn the brain off. You know what I mean? But my prayer is that you just heal. And I know that you have a family now, a beautiful family, husband and children, and let them be your sanctuary. You're going to get people who are going to make negative comments, and even like myself, just questioning what you went through because I'm the outside person looking in. But give yourself a sense of peace and yeah, try to get more money because $50 million is nothing compared to what this dude is sitting in his pocket. I'm curious to know like how much money he receives on Ciroc alone. This has nothing to do with royalties or whatever have you for music he created in the past. I want to know how much is Ciroc bringing you on the weekly, daily, whatever have you. Dude has bread to cover your pain on all levels. He owes you way more. I hope it was more than 50 million. Lord Jesus, I hope it was more. But I'm pretty sure he might have, told them to like not list the actual amount. If I can find it, I will insert it somewhere. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Let me know down in the comment section your thoughts and opinion about this whole situation. Um, and yeah, again, it's not a matter of who you support. We know right from wrong over here. We know that this dude is a freaking maniac and we're not going to support him, right? I hope you guys like this video. It was I wouldn't say entertaining or like this podcast. Um it was informative because you definitely got to know who you're dealing with, who you're supporting and can't go in blindly. But I hope you got something out of it. I pray that you all will have a great week. If you want to if you want to connect with me on social media, you can find me on X, better known as Twitter or vice versa, however you want to say that, on Twitter as Spit Talk Thalia. Yeah, Spit Talk Thalia, because I changed everything recently, so bear with me, guys. I'll insert it somewhere. Spit Talk Thalia, and you can find me on Instagram. If you want to check out makeup or whatever, you can still find me on Thalia's Eye Candy. And if you want to see clips of whatever I put up and talking about some of this drama, you can find me on Spit Talking with Thalia, also on Instagram. And that's it. That's where I'm at. And again, follow me on your podcast platform. And I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, guys. Have a great week.